Hello everyone, my name is Tacos, and welcome to my first video of Spellbreak in depth. Today we are going to be dissecting the Toxic Gauntlet, going over the physics of the gauntlet, its DPS, mana consumption, and a lot more stuff. I'm also talking about Toxic as an offhand, and we will not be taking class skills or fervor into account during this. Also would like to give a huge shout out to Thunderson for creating this DPS spreadsheet, as this is what I am basing the video off of. Alright, let's get into it. The Toxic Gauntlet is labeled as the shotgun of Spellbreak. The maximum damage for the Toxic Gauntlet goes as follows: 30 for common, 36 for uncommon, 41 for rare, 43 for epic, and legendary at a whopping 46 damage. The spell itself has a hard projectile drop with a wide spread the farther you attempt to shoot it. One thing to note is that the Toxic Spray has a damage over time that hits for 3 ticks of 4, totaling at 12 damage. This damage over time is called Corrosion and only works on armor. Corrosion is not taken into account for the Gauntlet's max damage or DPS. The Gauntlet has a sorcery with a 15-second cooldown. The Toxic Cloud has a duration of 5 seconds from the moment it lands. The Cloud also applies Corrosion to anyone who touches it, and the Cloud will also deal 2 ticks of 6 for every second that somebody is inside of it. Toxic has no cast time, so projectiles will come out as soon as you cast the spell. It also has a 0 mana recharge delay. Also, the Gauntlet has a recovery time of about 0.98 seconds. Recovery time is the time that it takes for your Gauntlet to fire again after it has been fired. To put it simple, you can fire 1 Toxic Spray about every second. The Toxic Gauntlet shoots 10 projectiles that after some testing and practice I found out work in intervals of 1, 4, 7, and 9. This meaning that hitting 1 pellet versus hitting 3 pellets will yield the same damage. Oddly enough, you deal full damage when landing 9 pellets instead of 10, so I'm assuming this is like some forgiveness for the Gauntlet shooting multiple projectiles. The mana cost for the Toxic Gauntlet is listed as such: 20 for common, 18 for uncommon, 17 for rare, 16 for epic, and 15 for legendary. Fun fact, this is also the same exact mana consumption as the Fire Gauntlet. Now let's move on to the Toxic Gauntlet's DPS. The common Gauntlet will do 25.42, uncommon 31.4, rare 35.76, epic 38.30, and legendary 40.97, putting this at the highest DPS in the entire game, and that is even higher than lightning with potential energy. Lastly, the Toxic Gauntlet has a number of elemental interactions. The one that we all know the most is Dragonfire. Toxic Puddles, Toxic Clouds both get ignited by fire, dealing 20 damage per second whenever somebody is inside of it. You can also spray Toxic on firewalls, and the firewall will be a DF firewall, dealing 20 damage per second that you're inside of it. You can also combine Toxic with tornadoes, and when you're shot through the tornado will have Toxic stuck to them and leave an AoE of Toxic mist where they land. This also applies to Toxic Clouds, when shear's going through Toxic Clouds, that is. Toxic Puddles and Toxic Clouds can both be electrified, stunning anyone who comes near it. You can also spray Toxic on Alacrity trails, and those trails will become Toxic Puddles and not able to be skated on. You can also refreeze these puddles, and they will work exactly as Alacrity does. You can also freeze your Toxic Cloud, which will keep it frozen for 30 seconds before it thaws. Lastly, there are no interactions with stone except for frozen clouds being destroyed by shockwaves and boulders. Boulders also block toxic projectiles. That's kind of obvious, but I thought I'd state it anyway. Considering its DPS, damage over time, utility with elemental interactions, mana consumption, I would rate the Toxic Gauntlet as an S tier choice for an offhand for most classes. And that's it for this episode of Spellbreak in Depth. If you enjoyed, I'd appreciate if you left a like on the video, and subscribe if you want to see more. Until next time, I'll see you in the HoloLands.